Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Cowboy Bebop. Last time on Cowboy Bebop we had Hard Luck Woman, where basically we lost most of the crew. Faye was taken to basically a place from her videotape, or Betamax tape, and along the way they realized that Ed's father has been looking for her, and Spike and Jet ran into him, and Ed went with him, left the crew, and Ein went with her. And then Faye met one of her old friends and seemingly decided to stay on Earth and rebuild her home, basically. So, yeah, we've pretty much lost a good chunk of the crew. I don't know if they're going to have, like, cameos or anything at the end. I kind of hope there's at least, like, a shot of them, at the end, showing where they are in their lives, But it definitely felt like those characters got closure. And so now we're going into the two-part finale, which, obviously, we're doing over the next 2 weeks, part 1, part 2. But yeah, the two-part finale where I can only assume Jet and Spike are going to get some closure. Mainly Spike. I think it's time for a certain adversary to come back and for Spike to deal with him once and for all. But I don't know. I could be entirely wrong about that, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Cowboy Bebop. Here we go. Alrighty. Well, I was right about Ed and Nine, at least. Nah, Faye came back. That was the one thing I was kind of thinking, like, even though she was, at her old family home, or, the land it was on, at least, I was kind of thinking, I guess there's nothing stopping her from going back to the Bebop, So, but it definitely seems like she wasn't going to be doing that anytime soon. So, but that's a hell of a way to bring her back for the finale, is to have her encounter Julia. It's exactly, which means, all of that was part of Julia's plan then, That was Julia's plan in order to kill Spike, was to find Faye Valentine, give her the message. She would go back to the Bebop, which would lead the Syndicate straight to them, which, if that didn't kill Spike, Spike would then go to the graveyard, and she would do it herself, Okay. So, interesting stuff going into the final episode. Oh, excuse me. Interesting stuff going into the final episode. The whole reason this was brought about, is really interesting, that Vicious was trying to lead a coup against the old elders, and it worked. It worked. It feels like this is what his plan was the whole time, His plan was not to take them out right then and there. It's like he said, once the snake bites you, the poison takes its time to kill you. So he planned to get caught originally, I'm pretty sure he planned to get caught originally. So, yeah. But in doing so, anyone associated with his group had to go. And that's how you drag in Spike. Because they would be like, well, even if it was years and years ago, they would try to kill Spike, just in case. So, yeah. Interesting stuff. So, alright, we've basically, it's interesting, because it's what I've said since, what was it, episode 5? Was that Ballad of Fallen Angels? I think it was. Yeah, since episode 5. I've always said it's interesting how little of Spike's backstory we get. And even still, I feel like they're really keeping it quiet, Because especially with this, like, yes, you know you understand the relationship between Spike and Julia. You understand that the reason they split apart was because Vicious got to her, so she had to stay a part of the syndicate. And you understand why Spike honestly runs away from that, why he doesn't talk about it, So, and you basically get why, or, you get Spike when he first joined up with Jet, So, it's an interesting thing, but I feel like it's still very underplayed, It's still underplayed, and I really like that, But yeah, Spike, because we don't know, what was Spike doing, What was he doing part of the syndicate? All we know is that whatever was happening in his syndicate days, he had to go. He had to go, and he did. But when he left, he wanted to leave with Julia, and without her, that's pretty much what drove him to becoming a bounty hunter, So, yeah. So, yeah. Very, very interesting stuff with that, Very, very interesting stuff. And then, yeah, they just couldn't... You can't just leave. At least Julia couldn't just leave. And then she has the whole thing of she has to kill Spike, otherwise both of them are dead, And yeah, it's interesting, running into Faye with that, except it's clearly wasn't running into Faye. This had to have been part of Julia's plan to get to Spike. So, yeah, which, hey, we got Faye back this episode. No Ed or Ein. I'm pretty sure they're out. Maybe we'll get a brief cameo of where they are. But Faye came back. Which was interesting. Which, yeah, honestly, the more I thought about it, I was like, well, she could come back. It all just depends on if she wants to come back. But this time it was more of, well, it's not that she really wants to come back. It's that, well, she has to. She has to give Spike the message. And yeah. She did, but that led them straight to him. So yeah, that's really, really interesting stuff. And yeah, we had the whole talk of forget about her, and it's an interesting thing for Jet to say that, because this sort of ties in with what I was talking about last episode with closure, because even though we still have Faye, I feel like she did at least get her closure, and now, she's going in, I guess, with no baggage to the finale. And Ed and Ein, I feel like, got closure, but I was talking about last episode Jet, because I felt like, okay, the finale has to be about Vicious. It has to be about Spike and Vicious and Julia, and sure enough, all of it is. There was no doubt that was going to be the finale, and that would give Spike his closure. Jet, on the other hand, I was like, well, does Jet need closure on anything, But I've come to realize now with this episode, Jet basically has his closure. Not necessarily good closure, but he definitely has closure. With everything with, his old girlfriend or his old partner and the criminal anime Gus Fring, he got all that closure a long time ago, a lot of episodes ago. And his whole thing, honestly, is that, yeah, he tries to let it go. He goes away from it. He tries not to think about it. And that's what he was trying to tell the Spike. Look, forget about it. Go, live your life. Go do something else. Just why do you have to go back to that? Forget about your past, And it's an interesting thing, It's an interesting thing because, which one, I guess, I don't know if I want to say is more right, but it's an interesting thing to think about. Would you rather just forget about it like Jet, or do you confront it like Spike is? And granted, Spike is only confronting it because it's confronting him, because of this whole thing with Vicious and Julia, that's confronting him rather than him confronting it, you know? Like, he didn't seek out Julia and Vicious in this. It's that all of that is coming back to bite him because of this coup, you know? So yeah, it's an interesting thing, but then you kind of look at, I happen to notice on here, the first part of the plot description of this episode is Jet and Spike try to drown their sorrows in alcohol, which is them at the beginning, drowning their sorrows about the girls leaving, you know, which is strange. It's kind of a strange thing of like, oh, they're drowning their sorrows. Like, are they really that sorrowful about it? Maybe Ed, because I did kind of get like a sort of paternal sort of relationship between Jet and Ed, but that was about it. And even then, it wasn't that pronounced. So, but yeah, it's that Jet has had closure. He has, you know, gone past. He has gotten past some of the things in his past, but at the same time, it's not really that he's come out of it a better man. It's that he's come out of it, well, just the man he is now, you know? And part of it is because that closure only came so recently that, yeah, he is what he is. And even if he got closure, it doesn't fully change who he is now, you know? And you could even say that about Spike or Faye, is that, are they still that different? You know, Faye, she found out who she is. She found her home, her friends from the past. She's still Faye Valentine, though. There's no doubt about that. And that will most likely be the same for Spike, is that even if he gets through all of this, you know, end of the day, get back on the Bebop, eat some, you know, beef salad or whatever, and go, either you go hunt another bounty or you just go and you do something else. But there's no reason to think that life will, like, Spike's life will be any better by this closure. But it will at least be closure. You know what that reminds me of, though, now that I think about it? Count of Monte Cristo. Spoilers for the Count of Monte Cristo, the book specifically. Not the movies, because none of the movies are remotely correct, and the anime, though really, really close, the ending is very much off from the book's ending. But my favorite thing about the Count of Monte Cristo book, so full spoilers for the end of the Count of Monte Cristo book, is at the end, he wins. He gets everything. He got everything, well, not everything that he wanted, but he got his revenge on the 4 people that screwed him over all those years ago. He got his revenge, and at the end, see, what the movies do wrong is that the movies generally have him getting back with Mercedes. That is wrong. That is so wrong and so bad, because what the movies say is that, yes, you can get all your revenge. It's okay to do this, and you'll get all of your stuff. You'll get all of your life back if you do it. That is not good. What the book shows is at the end, he does not get Mercedes back. Mercedes and Albert, they go off. The Count goes off with Hede, and he writes a letter at the end to Maximilian. And the last thing is his signature. And it's one of the most poignant things in the book is he writes, signed Edmond Dantes, the Count of Monte Cristo, because he is not Edmond Dantes, he is not the Count of Monte Cristo, he is both. He cannot separate the two of them, because while yes, he was Edmond Dantes, he has been the Count of Monte Cristo for so long that he cannot separate the two. I'm freaking spitting all over my mic. He can't separate the two of them. He does not get everything from his old life back. He does not get Mercedes back. He does not have a family with her. He does not get, the boat that he was supposed to be captain of. He gets none of that. But he creates a new life, and by God, he got that closure. And that honestly is something I could see for Spike, and kind of what I already see for Jet and Faye, is that yes, even if you get this closure, you can put this to rest. Vicious, Julia, the Syndicate, the whole 9 yards, you can put it to rest. But you're not going to be the same Spike Spiegel that you used to be, before all of this happened. Because the Spike Spiegel you are now, you can't just get away from that. And it's the same with Jet. Even after his whole thing with his old girlfriend and, his old partner and, his old adversary, he's still Jet Black. He's still the Jet Black that he was before those episodes happened. Faye is the same way. She's still the, energetic, crazy, horse betting, gambling girl that she was. But she got a little closure. And that is what I am expecting out of Spike. Though, they could also take the ending of the Count of Monte Cristo anime, where you get all of that and then he dies anyway. So yeah, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. And if that's what they're going for, if they're going for a Count of Monte Cristo style ending, specifically the book, I am so down for that. The Count of Monte Cristo is my favorite book of all time. And part of that is the ending where, yes, he got his revenge, but it didn't make his life any damn better. He did not get that. So it's not a whole thing of, should you take revenge and stuff. It's that he did, and that's where he ended up because of what he did. And I'm seeing that is about to happen to Spike. It's already happened to Jet. It's already happened to Faye. Out of 9, I don't know if you can really count them in that. With their closure was kind of iffy anyway. It's like, well, off with your dad. It's fine, But it's what I see with Jet. It's what I see with Faye, and it's what I'm seeing with Spike. And if that's where we're going, then that's great. And if it's not where we're going, I'm sure it's still going to be great. But that's where I see us going next episode is even if Spike gets his closure, it's not going to bring back the life he had or the life he ever wanted. But he'll still come out of it Spike Spiegel. At least I think. But we'll have to find out. Next week, we have the finale of Cowboy Bebop. Isn't that crazy that we're basically almost done? Like, it's so weird for a show to not span over a year for me, Normally that happens, but yeah, 26 episodes in a movie. You can get that done in a decent amount of months. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for the finale. I am going to miss this show. I've really enjoyed it, but yeah, we got one more episode, and then what are we going to do after that? I don't know. We're going to have to find another anime. Gee, I wonder what it'll be. You may have noticed that I already have one in my head, but I've given no hints to it anyway. Anywho, that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next week for the Cowboy Bebop finale. See you guys there. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Cowboy Bebop reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.